Welcome back to the IBJJF podcast. I'm joined today by Samir Chantre, and we're going to be talking about the 2022 Pan NoGi Jiu-Jitsu Championships that start this Friday, October 14th, and run through Sunday the 16th. Samir, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Of course, always a pleasure.
This is going to be a great event. We got a lot of big names competing. But to kick this off, I thought we'd talk a little bit about some gi and no-gi differences. You've won some really big no-gi tournaments. You've competed really well in the gi, won big titles there. What are some of the challenges for you when you're preparing for a big no-gi tournament, when you're also preparing for gi tournaments throughout the whole year?
Yeah, so I always like to do camps. Today I always do camps. I like to do camps. So when I'm preparing for one good thing about the schedule is that most of the bigger gi events are in the beginning of the year, and then after the second semester, then it starts the no-gi season. So that's how I always prepare myself. I always train gi all around. I never stop training gi, but would get to a after gi worlds, I would start emphasizing a little bit more on the no-gi season, but I would still train gi though. I would still train gi. This is like my roots, and I do think gi is still pretty important even when you're preparing for no-gi, because I feel that's a little bit different there. The difference that you get, a little bit more pressure and all that, but I start emphasizing more in the no-gi, and then that's where you start like putting more effort there and doing the camps, So you can still do both, but I feel like when there's more important tournaments coming up, you emphasize a little bit more. That's where where the secret is. If you just train halfway all around the whole year round, you might not do really great, any of them, but when you emphasize a little bit more or way more, but I still like to train both all year round.
Looking through the brackets, there's a lot of competitors here who compete at the Grand Slam gi events and also compete no-gi. So I think a lot of them are probably going to take that approach and, dedicate a certain part of the year to the gi training and a certain part to the no-gi training, like you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think it's important to train all year round both, because you develop techniques, you improve your technical aspect of it. But then when it's time to the big events, I think emphasize a little bit more one or the other. It's smart.
As we talked about before we started recording, we have a lot of big names competing in this edition of the no-gi pans. Let's go through some of those. I wanted to start with Michael Lange. He's a competitor that's won every major tournament in gi and no-gi. He's coming back to compete at the Pan NoGi because this is the one title he's missing from his career. He's shifted some of his responsibilities recently. I know he's the head coach at Alliance Sao Paulo, so he's focusing a little bit more on coaching, but he's coming back for this event, competing as a middleweight. What are your thoughts on Michael and just how his game translates to the no-gi situation?
Man, I'm a big fan of Michael Lange, always been. Funny thing, we met, we were young. I think I was blue belt, he was purple belt. I used to face, being the same division as his brother. And his brother was also super talented. I've been watching him since he was a purple belt. Beautiful jiu-jitsu, always a great game, and been winning everything, right? I think him making a comeback, it's a treat for us, watching him is always a treat. A beautiful jiu-jitsu, always going forward, his results are there to he proves himself many times. Doesn't need to do anything. He doesn't need to prove anything for anybody, but it's nice that it's a personal goal for him to win basically every major title for IBJJF. So all I can say, it's thankful he's gonna be there. It's a treat for us to watch him once again. I'm super excited to watch him, and I can see him. I follow his career. I can see him also how he shifted his priorities, training and focusing a lot. And you can see a difference, like the approach from a person who knows the way. He knows the way. So you see how he focused, and it's very focused on this win. So like I said, man, it's a treat for us to watch him, and I'm definitely not gonna miss that division. That division's stacked too, man.
Yes. Can't wait to talk about the middleweight division in a little bit. And I did get a chance to catch up with Michael Lange on the podcast. So if you guys want to go back and check it out, talks about his motivations for competing, everything that's going on in his life right now, coaching and competition wise. So definitely go check that out. Another name I'm excited to watch compete is someone who we also haven't seen compete for a while, Keenan Cornelius. Keenan won the Pan NoGi Open class in 2019. He's also a NoGi world champion, a Pan champion in the gi, lots of credentials. He opened up an academy recently, so he's been focusing a lot on that. But how excited are you to watch Keenan back in competition?
Man, it's always nice. That's someone else that I admire a lot. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. It's been a while, right? I think his last competition was 2019, maybe.
I believe
Uh,
so.
yeah, so it's been a while. So always great to see him competing. And he does really good in no gi. He translates his game really well. A lot of people know him from his gi game and his lapel guard, but his game translates really well to the to no gi. I'm excited to watch him, and it's another division that I'm super excited about. And like this tournament's gonna be stacked, and this division that there are some guys that we are really excited to watch. It's gonna make even more exciting because their divisions are super stacked.
Absolutely. So let's move on to another competitor I'm excited to watch, Anna Rodriguez. She won 2 gi world titles so far, the first in December 2021, came back in May to win her second gi title 2022, and now she's going to be venturing into no-gi. I haven't seen her compete too much no-gi, but just based on her attributes and her technique, I think she's going to do really well. She's going to be competing as a lightweight. She's also got the lightweight GP coming up on October 28th, so maybe she's going up in weight to kind of get used to the weight class and feel opponents who have that type of weight and strength behind them. What are your thoughts on Anna going up to lightweight and competing no-gi?
Her with lightweight, it's definitely something that it's definitely an approach that I like to take when I'm going towards a tournament, a very important tournaments like the GP. It's an approach that I like to start testing yourself in a heavier weight and get used to the strength of the other opponents that she's gonna have. That's gonna probably have the same way, and not having to cut down and then come back and try to stay in come up little by little, on weight. So I think it's a smart approach that she's taking by going up and getting ready for the GP. And man, I'll take the same. I'll take the same speech that I said before in other podcasts with you, Danny. Anna, she's a competitor that doesn't make mistake. I've said that before, and I stick with my word. You don't see her making mistakes. Her movements are very calculated. She goes little by little. Her movements are just right in the right direction, the right timing, with the right pressure. And yeah, man, the more I watch her, more excited I get to see her next matches, next challenges, because it's definitely someone I like to study, to watch her compete. And seeing her in no-gi, I do not recall many of her matches in no-gi, so I am excited to see to watch her compete in no-gi and see how her game translates to no-gi. So.
Anna has a great guard, but I'm excited to watch her passing no-gi. She has a good combination of using pressure and speed and dynamic movement. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how she translates that to the no-gi game.
Yeah, that's what in my head right now. I want to see how she translates, because her guard, I'm sure it's gonna be on point there, and to do guard in no-gi sometimes is even a little bit easier, because that the opponent doesn't have the grips there, and it's easier when to be defensive. But her guard is very good offensive too, and then when she's on top, she's so solid that I want to see how that translates to no-gi. Because if she can use her solid posture with some pressure, she's gonna have some heavy passings there, and I'm excited to watch that.
In the super heavy division, we have Nacheli De Jesus returning to competition. I believe her last competition was the Austin Open, where she competed a couple months ago and did really well. But we haven't seen her compete quite as frequently as we're used to recently. And she's going to be competing no-gi, obviously no-gi pans. And I think it's going to be great to watch the former open class world champion and just such a great competitor in the gi hop back into the no-gi scene.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch Natiali. Always excited to watch Natiali, either gi or no gi. She has beat some. She has won some great matches in no gi too. I'm excited to watch her. a few years back, she was with an open class gi world. So she went through a pregnancy and now returning to a to the scene. Definitely excited because while she was gone, some really tough ladies came to the scene, you know? So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to watch. Imagine a match between her and Rafaela, Elizabeth Clay, Chloe, these girls that they were coming up while Natiele was already a absolute world champion, you know? So watching that, that's gonna be a treat for sure.
Let's talk about one more specific athlete before we get into the divisions. Gabriel Arges. He's someone who took a little bit of a break from competition as well. I know he went through some injuries that he's rehabbed and taken care of. But it's going to be really fun watching Gabriel compete. He's going to be in medium heavy. He's traditionally known as more of a gi player, but he has competed no gi quite a bit too. I believe he won no gi worlds as a brown belt. And yeah, I think his division's really stacked too. So what are your thoughts on Gabriel and his no gi game?
No, Gabriel's good no game is great, man. Like has some really good leg locks, really good knee bars, really good ankles, and some really good guillotines too. I've been watching Gabriel since he was coming up in the belts too. I believe he also won purple belt no worlds. So he's definitely somebody that I always like to watch. And now after this break, seeing him coming back and in that division too, like really good division. So it's definitely gonna be something that I'm gonna be watching. I'm definitely not losing any of his matches. Always excited and always exciting. And one thing, man, like that I admire a lot about him, it's that he's always hunting for the submission. You know,
Yes.
no matter what position he is, he's always hunting for the submission. He's definitely not that type of guy that's gonna try to win by advantage. If he sees any of your limbs there, he's gonna go for it. You know.
I liked what you said about him doing so well, controlling the legs, going for leg attacks, great knee bars. I think that's going to translate beautifully to no-gi for him.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and that's where his game, like his major games, man. Like, see him competing since coming up, and in Nogi, his leg lock game is ridiculous, really good.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome division, that medium heavy weight class. But yeah, let's talk about some of the divisions. We have so many that are so stacked. We talked about Keenan Cornelius. He's going to be at super heavy. So in that division, we have Keenan, who's a Nogi Pan, Nogi World Champion. We have Devontae Johnson, 2021 Nogi Pan and Nogi World Champion. Patrick Gaudio, Diego Himalio, Felipe Trovo, Enrique Ciccone. That division is very stacked. A lot of great potential matchups there. What do you think about some of those names and just how that division is going to play out?
Man, honestly, like this is one of the most stacked divisions, and for super heavy, we got 12 competitors, and look at how many names you just said. You know, so it's gonna be a finals from match number one. You know, like doesn't matter how this bracket plays out. It's gonna be excited since the first match. You know, we got only 12 competitors, and like always, and all of them are like super tough guys. You know, imagine like watching Devon against Keenan. That's gonna be a tough match. That's gonna be a really good match because it's a clash of styles. You know, Devon super aggressive, really good. His top game is great, man. Like watching him against Keenan's guard, how that's gonna play out. You know, like that's gonna be a really good one. Man, Diego Ramalho and his leg locks, his straight ankle locks, that like he can be any of these guys if he gets one of those full locks that he does. You know, Patrick Gaudio, you know, like Patrick Gaudio, he's really tough, really tough. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. And it's gonna be interesting to see him against Keenan. That's gonna be a really good match. We've seen it before. We've seen it before. Decided like, in a gi, decided by a ref decision. So I do want to see this match again. You know, if there is one match here that you ask me, like, well, Samir, wait, oh man, Felipe Trovo too, and Enrique, yeah.
As you look at
So
the
that's
names, your answer changes.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But no, I'll still stick with it. If there's one match you ask me, like Samir, one match that you wouldn't want to miss for nothing in this division, that's Patrick Aldo and Keenan Cornelius. We're never sure if it's gonna play out. Like I said, there's some really killers here. Man, Devon, like the current world champion, the current no good world champion, it's there. He can beat anyone too. But if there's a way I could make things work there in the bracket, I would put this match to play out because that's a match that I want to see.
That would be incredible. I would love to see that as well. Any other thoughts on super heavy before we move on to a different division?
No, that's it, man. Like, there's not much to say. There's some great match that's gonna play out. Felipe Trovo, it's great, man. His nogi game is on point. Yeah, there are some really good matches there, but like I said, if there is one match I want to see, there's many matches I want to see here. Could be all day here just matchmaking, but if there's one favorite match here, it's Patrick Gaudio and Keenan Cornelius.
I want to see that too. That would be incredible. Another division I'm really excited for is middleweight. We have Michael Lange, who we spoke about. We have Jefferson Goresi, who's 2021 Nogi World Champion, 2019 Pan NoGi Champion. We have Mike Perez of Atos, Igor Feliz, Oliver Taza, Jan Picapau, Vitor Oliveira. Another division where pretty much anyone can take it. It's up for grabs. What are your thoughts on middleweight?
Man, it's a really stacked division. 24 competitors, some really good matchups here that can play out. Like, let's just start my favorite matchup here. Let's just start from there. I think I would love to see Michael Lange against Jefferson Goresi. Jefferson has been doing really good lately, especially in the nogi scene though. In the gi scene too, of course, but especially in the nogi scene. And has a really good guard. His guard is really good. Has really good wrestling too, and top game. And see that playing out against Michael Lange, who is the most decorated competitor in this division here in terms of titles, but has been away for a while. But as I mentioned before, he knows the way. So I don't know how staying away for that long can influence when we're talking about somebody that knows the way, knows how to get there, knows what's like, what to do to be the champion. So uh, I think this match is my favorite one if plays out. But man, Igor Feliz, that kid came up on fire. Hit only a new black belt, 2 years I think into his black belt. Super strong, aggressive, super good wrestling too. So seeing that kid in it, it's gonna be fireworks for sure. Pika Pau is another guy that I'm always excited to watch him competing. We do have Vitor Oliveira, who's amazing judo, really good top game. So it's gonna be really good. Man, this division is gonna be really good. Really hard to tell a winner there. If you ask me, like I said, I think oh man, Michael Perez, it's also a really tough competitor. But
Yep.
like I said, if you ask me, I think my favorite matchup here and the possible finals maybe that'll be Michael Lange against Justin Gorezi.
You mentioned something really interesting earlier about Nachieli and how she took a little bit of time off from competition. A lot of athletes built their game up and started becoming stars as she was taking her break. And I feel the same with Lange. There's so many
Yep.
competitors that really built their career as he was already a black belt world champion. And maybe even were still like just getting started in jiu-jitsu when he won his
Yeah,
first black
yeah,
belt
I was
world
going to
title.
mention that right now. I was going to mention that right now. I'm not 100% sure. You might, but I think the last world title for Michael Lang was around 2013 or something like that.
I think 2015.
2015.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe
so
so.
2015 was so that was 7 years ago. Um, I wouldn't doubt it that there's a competitor here that started 7 years ago. Like 7, 8 years ago. So, but man, that guy's just he's just amazing. He knows the way. I truly think he can go there and make it a great fight with everyone here and perhaps win the division. But none of these competitors will make it easy for him, man. Like the guys are here. The guys are here. The guys are gonna really try to take that away from him. And I'll say that Jefferson Gorezi, it's one of the most dangerous from here. Vitor Oliveira is also it's from Michael Lange's time. Vitor Oliveira is a seasonal competitor, and he's another one that can definitely do really good in this division. Hey, we cannot forget Alexandre Morinario. He won 2 years ago Nogi World, no, Nogi Pans. I'm sorry, as a lightweight. 2 years ago, 2020. So he's also somebody that can really good guard, man. Like he's also somebody that can make it harder for everyone here.
Absolutely. Yeah, moving up the weight class, and he's had a great career, winning a lot of opens recently as well.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the female divisions. I know there's a lot of great females kind of spread out throughout all the divisions. So I thought maybe we'd talk about the open class. We have Nachieli, who we talked about. We have Rafaela Geddes, Elizabeth Clay, Vanessa Griffin, potentially Anna Rodriguez if she decides to jump into the open. What do you think about the female divisions overall? And then how do you feel like the open class could potentially play out?
Yeah, I I mentioned before. I think Natiali, we can say she's not the favorite, you know, because of her credentials. But then we watch the division and we say, hey, we got Rafaela Geddes, current absolute no-gi world champion, and then we got other really good ladies as Chloe, Talita, Veda, uh, Vanessa, Elizabeth. So there are some Isa. So there's some really good girls here. I'll truly say Rafaela is like the biggest threat for Natiali if we compare the title as she is the current no-gi world champion, and then Natiali is the only absolute gi world champion in this division here with some really good no-gi matches too. So I'm excited to watch this. And then as I always like, Talita is really good too. Just coming up from a silver medalist as at Worlds at Geek Worlds, and Elizabeth Clay also, she's a no Geek World champion in every belt. So she's a threat for anyone. She went down a weight class, so now she's middleweight. But her leg lock games in no-gi, it's a threat for anyone in that division. She has a really high submission rate in any no-gi tournament she gets in. I'm excited for that absolute. As we mentioned, Natiali took some time off, and some rising stars in that division there. Probably her biggest threats are the ones that never competed as a black belt as she was competing as a black belt, you know. So it'll be exciting. It will be really exciting for this open class division. I really hope they all sign up. You know,
Yeah.
like I really hope they all sign up so we can have this really good treat from them. Because as you mentioned, they're really spread out. Like Natalia only has one match with Mayora Custodio, which is a really tough competitor too. Um, then we got Rafaela, who has no match on her weight class. So I really want to see like if we could just combine heavy and super heavy, that would be like, already like an amazing division. Natieli, Mayara, and Rafaela. That would be a really super good division. And then seeing the open, see some fights with Tolita, with Elizabeth Clay, and Chloe, and all these other girls. That'll be amazing.
I'm really excited to watch Rafael and Elizabeth. They compete a lot in Nogi. Been competing really consistently. They've won big titles. They have experience in those big matches. I think, like you mentioned, they're going to be big threats to that top spot on the podium.
Absolutely, and that was the finals. That was the finals last year. So last year, open class finals, it was between Rafael Geddes and Elizabeth Clay. They competed before as a brown belt. I believe it's like 2-2 now between them. So it's definitely a really good match, and that might happen. That might happen. Let's see. That might happen in the open class, and we hope that happens in the open class again. You know, like it's always a good match between these two, super exciting competitors. So and then now having Natiali in the mix, man, can't wait.
It's going to be great. Medium heavy for the males is another absolutely stacked division. We talked about Argis, a gi world champion who's coming back to compete after a little bit of a layoff from injuries. We have Gutierrez Barbosa, Jaime Canuto, Oliver Taza, Manuel Hibamar, who's a 2019 no-gi world champion, Sebastian Rodriguez. That division is also filled with talent and amazingly accomplished competitors. What do you think about medium heavy?
And middleweight is definitely one of the most divisions here. Sebastian, really good competitor. He does really good in nogi too, though. Like he does really good nogi. Felipe Cesar has really good leg locks game too. A really good competitor. Mena Ribamore, I think is he. Oh, and Jaime Canuto. Oh wow, that's gonna be a really good one. Jaime Canuto, he was runner-up nogi world champion, so he's definitely in the top spot, in one of the top in this division two. Gabriel Arges, as I mentioned, he's one of the favorites here. That's for sure. His game is just phenomenal. Manuel Ribamar, I think he's the only Nogi World Champion in this division here, right? In the black belt division.
Yes.
He's definitely one of the favorites here. His game is really good. He moves like the way he moves on top, man. Like the way he moves from the top. He's just his hips, the way that he passes. His game is really good. His game is really good from top and bottom. He's a very versatile fighter. It's hard to tell. It's to tell. Oh, what's his Nogi game? You know, I'll say, hey, uh, depending on the match. You know, depending on the match. Some matches he starts from the bottom, pulls guard. Some matches go from the top. He has phenomenal guard, phenomenal top game. You know, so favorite match to play out here, my opinion, the match that I want to see. Gabriel Arges against Manuel Ribamar. That's the match that I want to see, you know? One of the matches that I want to see, let's put this way. Man, Jaime Canuto, can't say any more good things about this guy. This guy, you blink, he flies under people. You know, like super great competitor, super exciting competitor. So it's some really good names here, man. Gutierrez Barbosa, young kid too, that has been doing really good ever since, like in all the lower belts and in the black belt division. He's in the mix too. There are some really good matches I want to see here for sure.
You mentioned Jaime being a Nogi World silver medalist, and I believe it was the last Nogi Worlds he competed against Dante Leone in the final. That was an incredible match going back and forth. Both those guys are so talented, so technical. Talk about that match if you can recall some of the details from it.
Man, I was there. I was there watching that match. That match was great. I believe Jaime was winning, and then towards the end, Dante turned it around. You know, it was super good. Back and forth. Jaime, man, like he has a big heart. You know, like has a big heart. He fights until the end. He was like really putting a lot of movements, a lot of effort in that match towards like until the end, until like the 10th minute. It was a great match, really good match. And that's why, man, like that's why I say he's always excited. Winning or losing, it's always a show. He always showcases jiu-jitsu when you're losing, you know. So it's a guy you cannot blink. You know, you cannot blink when he's on the mat. You know, he's either like going to throw away like a beautiful submission, or he's gonna be fighting until the end when you're losing. He never gives up. You know, so it's definitely somebody I want to watch there.
Yeah, he's always an exciting competitor to watch, coming off a Masters Worlds title as well. So he's got a lot of momentum coming into the tournament.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great division, man.
Let's talk about featherweight. That's another division that's got a lot of great competitors and past champions. Gianni Grippo is back in that division. He's a world Nogi champion. He's also a 3-time Pan NoGi champion. We got Adam Benioun, Daniel Myra, who placed third at the Worlds in the gi this year, Nick Salas, Gabriel Souza. Very stacked division. Any thoughts on the featherweight division or any potential matchups that you think would be interesting to watch?
Oh yeah, no, that division is super stacked. I think Johnny Grippo is the most decorated competitor in that division. He's a 2-time Nogi World Champion, right? Funny thing, Gianni, it's most of the time he competes in feather, but his 2 Nogi World title, it was in lightweight. So that's a good fact there. But he most of the time he competes in featherweight. He won. He's had 3
Three Pan NoGi titles. Yep.
Yeah, 3 Pan NoGis, and but his 2 NoGi world title was in lightweight division, but now dropping. One of them was last year, so now dropping to featherweight. Has some really good threats here, and in my opinion, the biggest threat for him in this division is Gabriel Souza. Always a really tough competitor, really good game. They faced each other before, some really good matches. In I believe 2020 Nogi, 2020 Nogi Pants, Gabriel Souza was able to get a win against Gianni Grippo. So I'll say, man, this matchup again, I think it's probably going to be my favorite one to watch. I hope I watch that matchup. Like I said, I'll say it again. If I could move things around there, that'll be a matchup that I would choose. But let's say, man, there are some really good tracks there too. Richard Nogueira, really good competitor too that has been doing really good. Gi and NoGi. Yeah, really good division here, definitely. But if you ask me, like I said, a match I want to see, uh, I've seen it before, and I would love to see it again, is John Gabriel Souza and Gianni Grippo.
The great thing about that match is both guys are so well rounded. We've even seen Johnny hit some takedowns recently. Gabriel's a really good wrestler. Both have excellent guards, excellent
Yep.
ability to sweep from the bottom, and great guard passing. So that match can go so many different ways. We could probably watch it 10 times and see 10 different matches.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I do think Gabriel Souza has an advantage on his wrestling, but I do think Johnny Grippo has a phenomenal guard. So I see that match playing up kind of like that. Gianni trying to get a guard pull, and Gabriel Souza trying to score on that guard pull, either by a double guard pull or by trying to take down from there. And then from there, that'll be a game on Gianni with his deadly guard trying to get a sweep or submission from there, and Gabriel Souza with his explosive and fast passings and outside passings trying to get a pass from there. So it's a clash of styles, in my opinion, and one of the nicest one in my opinion. Like an amazing guard player trying to get entanglements, trying to get leg entanglements, and a solid guard passer that does not try to stall. It's easy to see like a really good guard player against a guy that's solid on top that only tries to stay there. But when you see a really good guard player that attacks and looks for submission against a really good top player that really put emphasize and put effort on the passings, that's when the good fights happens. So I'm excited for that once again. I've seen it before; it was great matches, but I'm excited to see that again. To hope to see that again, but depending on the bracket, man, like they're gonna have to work hard to get there. So if they're one on each side of the division, they're gonna have some really good threats to get there. So I'm excited for that division for sure.
Definitely. So we covered some of the black belt divisions, but the truth is all the black belt divisions are going to be incredible. You got to check them out on Flow Grappling. The black belts start on Saturday, October 15th. So definitely go to flowgrappling.com. You can catch all the action live. You can catch replays as well. Samir, is there any other thoughts you wanted to share on Nogi Pans before we wrapped up?
No, yeah, just say I'm excited for this event. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be there. I wish I was there competing, but as I've done it many times, it's a super nice competition. But man, I love competing Nogi Pans and Nogi Worlds. It's two of my favorites events. So seeing how stacked the division is, that's my division right there. Like seeing how stacked that division is and see how stacked the whole tournament is. Like it's always a threat. It's always a treat to be there, compete, watch the matches, and be part of it. So just going through the divisions, I'm like, man, I wanted to be there, but unfortunately this time I'm not gonna be able to. But man, I'm excited to watch for sure. I'm gonna be turning for Gladly on, and I'll be like just enjoying the show.
Absolutely. So all the action starts on the 14th. We have brown belts and blue belts competing on that Friday. Black belts start on Saturday, and then you'll see the black belt finals on Sunday and some other black belt matches too. So definitely go to flowgrappling.com. You can do that starting as soon as the event starts on October 14th. You can watch all the way through the 16th. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you guys soon for another episode.